Hello everyone. So today we are going to do another coding challenge and I've just done this one. So for this one, we are going to do the build your own cut tool. So again, I'm referring to the one of the challenges from codingchallenges.fyi. So basically the goal of this challenge is to build your own version of the Linux command line tool, which is the cut tool. And so basically the idea of this tool is it allows you to like uh, select portions, or as from the what's defined here is cuts out the selected portions from each line in a file. Okay, so if you go some do some digging around, so basically this is what the cut command is all about. So one example here uh, from W3 schools is that if you pass it a file name and then choose what field you want to process or take data from, then it allows you to select the specific column. So in this case, or whatever form of data. Commonly, you apply this in some specific file format, like some CSV file or tab delimited file. And so yeah, so basic usage would be selecting a field. So if you pass in dash F1, then it should select, lets you select the first field, or shall we say the first column if it's tab delimited, right? If it's comma delimited, then yeah, again the first column will be selected, so on and so forth. So you identify the number of the column that you want to process, right? And so jumping straight into step one. So the point of step one is to uh, read a file and then choose or pass in an option to select the field that you want to uh, take. All right. And so let's go to my solution that I did for this one. So I have here already, this again is just a console app since we are building a Linux like command tool. Okay. So I'm just gonna go through the thought process and the things that I've did this one. So I perform a test-driven approach, and so that is this one. So I have here several, shall we say, tests that would uh, satisfy each of these steps. So the first step would be to again read a file and then display the specified column or field that is being selected or chosen. And so uh, let's go through my commits here. So first one would be this one. Okay. So before doing this one, you are required to set up first the test files that you use. And so I have here already downloaded and added it to my project. So these files would be this one. You have a CSV file and then tab delimited file, or .tsv1. So if if you look at this one, the TSV one, it's just a set of uh, tabular data of some sort. Okay, they are being delimited by tabs. Okay, tab spacing, and so we want to read from this file and then specify what field we want to display depending on the option that has been passed. And so heading into the test that I did, it would be this one. So cut field should return values of a specified field. And so the implementation of this one again is heading back here. I don't know if you are able to follow me on this one. And so this would be the main program. So the way you test this out is like after I've done the unit test, after I verify the unit test, I do a simple shall we say a cowboy way of doing integration test. Okay, this is a very crude one. So I added a method here that would pass in arguments uh, that would like replicate what you would do on the actual command line. Okay, and so I've added some notes here in how you can test the integration once. So you pass in the arguments. So first we'll have to check again, checking the arguments. So following the idea of fail first, fail early. And so anything that doesn't have or no arguments being passed, then we don't process, do any form of processing or doing cuts. So the uh, going back, so the actual uh, code or logic is I've placed it in a separate class. So I've named it as cut.cs. So in this way, I can have all of the logic in one place. So it's only has a single method, which is run, and you can pass in the parameters, which is what field and then the file that you want to process. And so this one is quite simple since the file contents is being separated by line. So we want to read them by line, and then each line would split them by in this case by tabs, and so we get a array of uh, columns. So we store them here, and then uh, we display them on the output, right? And so now we have that one. I mean, step one would be simple enough, right? So sorry, step two would be having an option to specify what type of delimiter you are going to use. So in this case, with step two, uh, I guess the most common would be specifying it as a comma delimited content. So you have to pass in the option of dash D and then the delimiter. And so in that case, it would read the file with that specific delimiter. Okay. But if you don't pass in the dash D, then it would just default to the tab delimited one. So looking at what I've done with step two, so this should be what it should look like. So again, I've added another unit test for this just to check on if it does process via the specific delimiter that we've specified. And so looking at this one, the changes that I've made to the method, so this should be what it should look like now. So again, we parse the if there is parameters that is being passed, and then from there we uh, sort of determine what sets of configurations are being passed along with the options. So in this case, for the delimiter, so here I've set the delimiter as by default tabs, and then if the delimiter option is being passed, we'd have to check if it's being followed by a specific delimiter. So that would satisfy. If you pass in the comma, then we should be able to read the file as a comma delimited or comma separated content. Okay, so that's there. Next would be step 3. Now with step 3, it should allow you to pass in multiple fields if you want to. Okay, so now this time you are not limited to only one field output but multiple field outputs. Okay, so with this one, let's head on to this one. All right, so maybe let's just check this one out as a detached form. Okay, so that we should be able to see what I did with this one. So cut with, so I've again did a unit test for this one, cut with multiple fields. Okay, so we pass in the option of passing a field to be followed with the dash F option and then followed with the specific fields. Okay, and then again the file name. So with this one, the implementation now becomes like this. So we once we've verified that the field option is being passed, then we'd have to check if that field option has several options uh, along with it. Okay, so in this case we'll have to parse it by, if it's separated by commas. Okay, and then we'll just go through the fields that have been specified. So we store it in an array of strings, which means that we're storing the uh, field columns, right? And from there we start parsing our content by the field indicated. So we have here the actual for loop that goes through each of the uh, field and then reading each of the uh, lines. Okay, since again we have to take note also that the fields are one based instead of the zero based, so we'll have to do this kind of logic to just check that the field our field indexes are in within the limits of should be greater than 1 or equal to 1, right? And so once we've determined the fields that we'd want to display, then all you need to do now is just to go through each of the identified fields and then just read through each uh, line, okay, that's been being split by the specified delimiter. All right, and then step 4 is uh what's this one? So reading, okay, so now with this one uh you can read data from the input stream, which means you type in data from there instead of reading from a file. So let's go through that quickly here. Let's check this one out. Yes, and so now we have uh, an option, but this one I think I didn't have a equivalent unit test, since uh, it's kind of tricky to pass in from the in I mean to simulate some sort of uh, typed input. So I think I've gone through the route of integration test. Yeah, so let me go through here. Huh. Okay, so if no, okay, yeah, so if no option or the dash single dash is provided, then you'll have to read from the input. So in this case, instead of the user typing in the data, it comes from this tail command, which is another Linux command that allows you to uh, grab some data from a file, and then with the way Linux commands works, you can sort of pipe them, or if the result of the one command, you can pass it to another command, and so on and so forth, and then you can just chain them. So coming up from the tail command, you pipe this through your cut command, and which in turn should process the sources of the data. Okay, and I think lastly, yeah, it's just a combination of using the your cut tool with the other tools that we've done previously. So in this case, it suggests that it reads or runs the word count tool, which we've already done on a different challenge. Okay, so I don't know if you were able to follow me on this one, but all of this code is already on the repo, so you should be able to follow through what I did for each of the steps. I don't I we don't I won't be just keep constantly discussing all of the details here, but yeah, it's just how I did this one. So this one is, yeah, it took me some time, but not that long to finish this one. So yeah, I think we can try and run this one. Let's just uh, check out the latest from this one. All right, and if we try one of the integration commands here, so let's say, just to see if if this thing does actually work. Okay, let's just comment this one out and then run this one. Say step 3 of 2. So step 3 of 2 would be testing for white space separated fields list. Okay, so now one of the way of specifying a field list is, apart from uh, straight up be, following the dash F command, then you add, I mean, you specify the field number separated by comma. There's also this option wherein you can pass in the fields or the field numbers that are separated by spaces. Okay, so here the command line argument. So let's just throw this one out. I mean, try this one out. So uh, how do I options? Okay. No, I think it should be here. Okay, now I think I found where to pass in the command line argument. So I think I got lost for a few moments there, but first you have to select this one. So again, that should be like right clicking on the project and set a start a project. And now you have this option next to it, this one. And then you should be able to see that there's this debug properties. Now that's where you can pass in the arguments like this. Okay. All right. And so now that you have that, if we do run this test, okay, we should hope that the result would be uh, an output of two fields being shown on the console. Okay, so it should read the file. So let's just continue. Okay, and it should display two fields since we've specified field 1 and field 2. Again, you might get confused. Uh, this F0, F1, this is just an field like sort of tag in here, but the fields are specified as one base, which means it should start with 1. So this should be 1 and 2, okay, instead of 0 and 1. So don't get confused with that part, right? So yeah, I think this uh, exercise or challenge is quite good. So it gave me an understanding of uh, how the Linux commands work, especially if taking data coming in from streams, which is the way we're in the Linux commands, you can chain them together and pass whatever the result from one command to another command. And so yeah, this should you can run this on the command line, and then you can pipe from a different command, Linux command, to this cut command, and it should just work fine. Okay, and so yeah, I think that wraps up what I wanted to discuss with this challenge for now. And so I'll be off to another challenge again. Uh, that would be, so I'll be doing the other challenges. That would be the I mean, load balancer and the sort tool. So that will be coming up next in the future episodes. And so I hope that, yeah, again, uh, the code is on the GitHub repo. I will add this on the description. And so you should be able to check that one out. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts and comments on this one, on how I did this challenge, and any suggestions or whatever thoughts that you have in mind. Please do let me know in the comment section. And yeah, please don't forget to like and subscribe for this one. And I'll see you again in our next episode. Thanks, everyone. Bye.